She was the kind of lawyer people trusted with their lives. Accident victims, trauma survivors, families in crisis, they came to Lori Deveny for justice. What they got was betrayal. Over 135 clients. $4.6 million. Gone. Stolen, siphoned, and smoked away on cigars, big game safaris, taxidermy trophies, and nudist resorts. But the money trail isn't the only thing that went cold, because just before Lori's empire of lies collapsed, her husband turned up dead. Welcome to Deceptive Dollars, where deception isn't just criminal, it's profitable. Each week we follow the paper trail of high-stakes financial crimes, from fake healers and shady attorneys to crypto kings and con artists. These aren't just stories about money, they're about betrayal, power, and how easily it could happen to you. Stick around, because by the end of this episode, we'll share 8 ways to protect yourself from dishonest attorneys and settlement scams. The kind that ruined lives in this case. But first, let's rewind to where Lori Deveny's story begins. Lori Deveny was more than just a lawyer. She was a beacon of hope for those navigating the aftermath of personal tragedies. As a personal injury attorney in Portland, Oregon, she championed the causes of accident victims, trauma survivors, and grieving families. Her reputation was built on empathy, diligence, and a track record of securing favorable settlements. Clients entrusted her with their stories and futures, believing she would advocate for their best interests. Her involvement in the local bar association and community events further solidified her standing. However, beneath this facade of integrity, a sinister plot was unfolding. From April 2011 to May 2019, Deveny was systematically embezzling funds from at least 135 clients, siphoning over $4.5 million meant for those she vowed to protect. These were individuals who had already endured significant hardships, many suffering from severe brain injuries or trauma. Deveny exploited their vulnerability, stealing their identities, forging their signatures, and diverting their insurance settlements into her personal accounts. She then deceived them with false assurances, claiming delays or administrative issues were the reasons behind the missing funds. The betrayal ran deep. Many of Deveny's clients were individuals already grappling with severe injuries and emotional trauma. They placed their trust in her, believing she would advocate for their rightful compensation. Instead, they were met with deceit. Some awaited settlement checks that never arrived, while others faced mounting medical bills, unaware that their funds had been misappropriated. The financial and emotional toll was devastating, leaving many in precarious situations. She lied over and over to stall people who couldn't afford to wait. One woman was in a car crash with her toddler. Her name was Jessie Hegwood. She suffered a traumatic brain injury, so severe, she later said, "I can't think my way out of a paper bag these days." She trusted Lori, but Lori took her money and never gave it back. Jessie wasn't alone. Deveny targeted people who couldn't remember the numbers, people who couldn't fight back, people who believed her because she was supposed to protect them. But what Lori Deveny did with their money tells a different story. This wasn't about desperation. It was indulgence and greed. While her clients waited for checks that never came, Lori lit cigars that cost more than their groceries. She spent over $220,000 on premium cigars, $173,000 on big game hunting trips in Africa, and another $35,000 to mount the trophies on her walls. She dropped $60,000 at a nudist resort in Palm Springs, bought a Cadillac, an RV, paid $58,000 to care for her pets, and all the while her clients, many with brain injuries or mounting medical bills, were told to be patient. That the check was coming. Lori knew it wasn't. By early 2018, cracks had started to show. A few clients were pushing back, asking questions about missing settlement checks. The Oregon State Bar had received complaints. One insurance company even flagged a forged endorsement on a check. Lori's careful web of lies was beginning to fray. And then, just as the pressure was mounting, her husband turned up dead. Lori called 911. Robert Deveny, her husband of over 20 years, was found with a single gunshot wound. She claimed it was suicide, said they had spent the morning together, had been intimate, and that she found him after taking a shower. She admitted to moving the gun, but claimed she didn't know why. No autopsy was performed. Robert was cremated within days. Officially, no foul play. But the timing raised eyebrows. He was reportedly in poor health, but also reportedly aware of her crimes. And in the world of red-collar crime, where white-collar schemes sometimes end in sudden silence, those details matter. We may never know what really happened, but Robert's death closed a door on a potential witness. After Robert's death, it didn't take long for the rest to collapse. In 2019, Lori Deveny was formally disbarred. Investigations by the Oregon State Bar, the IRS, and federal prosecutors were already well underway. By the time the dust settled, she was facing 24 federal felonies, including wire fraud, identity theft, and tax evasion. In court, her victims showed up. They weren't just names on paperwork anymore. They were survivors. One said, "She left me physically and emotionally broken, financially devastated, and questioning the justice system." Another, "She stole my money and crushed my faith in people." Lori pled guilty. And in January 2023, she was sentenced to 101 months in federal prison. But it wasn't just her clients who paid the price. The Oregon State Bar's Client Security Fund had to cover the fallout. More than $1.2 million in claims were paid to Lori Deveny's victims, one of the largest payouts in state history. To make up the difference, the bar raised dues for every practicing attorney. But the damage didn't stop there. New legislation followed. A higher cap on how much victims can recover, stricter reporting standards for attorneys, and a new rule: insurance companies must notify clients directly when a settlement check is issued, because trust shouldn't be a loophole, and no one should ever lose everything in silence. If you've been in an accident or are working with a lawyer or settlement firm, here are some tips to protect yourself. 1. Verify the check. Call the insurance company. Ask when and to whom it was sent. 2nd, request a closing statement. Every cent should be accounted for in writing. 3. Look up their law license. Bar associations list disciplinary actions and active status. 4. Push back on delays. It's still processing is not an excuse after months of silence. 5th, document communication. Save emails. Take notes after every call. 6. If you feel uneasy, trust that instinct. Ask questions. Get a copy of your file and check that all correspondence is on the file. If not, that could be a red flag. If your attorney communicated with state agencies, then file a request to obtain copies of the relevant records. 7. If you think a crime has been committed, file a police report and get a copy of your report. Don't dither on this. A crime is a crime, not just a matter for the bar. 8. Having said that, contact the Bar Association also, file a complaint, and attach a copy of the police report. Your settlement is yours. No one else should hold it hostage. No one. Lori Deveny's story is one of betrayal, but also a reminder. No matter how professional someone seems, they are never above scrutiny. If something feels off, it probably is. Subscribe to Deceptive Dollars for more true stories about money, power, and the people who abuse them. Because financial crime doesn't always look like a heist. Sometimes it wears a suit, smiles, and hands you a business card.